Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, your teacher, your friend. So in today's video, I'll be providing you some extra question answers from the chapter Steve Jobs from the book Pristine English Class 6. So stay tuned till the end to learn and understand the answers in a simple and a clear way. Let's get started. So question number 1. Who was Steve Jobs and what industries did he revolutionize? Answer. Steve Jobs was an American entrepreneur and inventor. He revolutionized 6 industries: personal computers, animated movies, music, phones, tablets, and digital publishing. Question number 2. Where did Steve Jobs found the Apple company? Answer. Steve Jobs founded the Apple company in his parents' garage. Question number 3. When and where was Steve Jobs born? Answer. Steve Jobs was born on 24th February 1955 in San Francisco, USA. Question number 4. Who was Steve Jobs' friend at school and what did they achieve together? Answer. Steve Jobs' friend at school was Steve Wozniak, and together they founded the famous Apple company in 1976. Question number 5. Why did Steve Jobs drop out of Reed College? Answer. Steve Jobs dropped out of Reed College because he couldn't see the value in it. He had no idea what he wanted to do with his life and didn't want to spend his parents' savings unnecessarily. Question number 6. What unique course did Steve Jobs take after dropping out of college and how did it influence his work? Answer. Steve Jobs took a calligraphy course after dropping out of college. It influenced his work by inspiring the beautiful typography and fonts in the first Macintosh computer. Question number 7. What was the first computer to have beautiful typography and how did it influence other personal computers? The first Macintosh computer was the first to have beautiful typography. It influenced other personal computers as Windows copied the Mac's typography features. Now question number 8. What lesson does Steve Jobs' story about connecting the dots teach us? The story teaches us that believing the dots will connect in the future gives confidence to follow one's heart even when the path is uncertain. Question number 9. Where was Steve Jobs invited to give a commencement speech and why was it significant? Answer. Steve Jobs was invited to Stanford University to give a commencement speech. It was significant because despite being a dropout, he was honored by one of the finest universities. Question number 10. Where did Steve Jobs and Wozniak start the Apple company? And how successful was it in its first 10 years? Answer. They started the Apple company in Jobs' parents' garage. In its first 10 years, it grew into a $2 billion company with over 4,000 employees. Question number 11. What happened to Steve Jobs after Apple released the Macintosh? Answer. After Apple released the Macintosh and Steve Jobs turned 30, he was fired from the company he had co-founded. Question number 12. What did Rohan see at the exhibition and what did he learn from his father? Answer. Rohan saw an image of Steve Jobs on a giant electronic screen at the exhibition. His father told him about Steve Jobs' achievements and life story. Now, question number 13. Why was Steve Jobs fired from Apple? Answer. Steve Jobs was fired from Apple because his vision of the company's future differed from that of the person he had hired to run the company with him. Their disagreement led the board of directors to side with the other person. Now, question number 14. How did getting fired from Apple affect Steve Jobs' life? Answer. Getting fired from Apple initially devastated Steve Jobs, but it eventually freed him to enter one of the most creative periods of his life. He started next Pixar and found love, which led to significant achievements in his personal and professional life. Now, question number 15. What was the first computer animated feature film created by Pixar? And the answer, the first computer animated feature film created by Pixar was Toy Story. Now, question number 16. How did Steve Jobs return to Apple? Answer. Steve Jobs returned to Apple when the company bought Next and the technology developed at Next became a key part of Apple's revival. Question number 17. What lesson does Steve Jobs convey through his story about being fired? Answer. Steve Jobs conveys that setbacks can lead to new opportunities and creative growth. He encourages people to love what they do and to keep searching for their passion if they haven't found it yet. Question number 18. What quote did Steve Jobs read at the age of 17 and how did it influence him? Answer. Steve Jobs read the quote, "If you live each day as if it was your last, someday you will most certainly be right." It made a deep impression on him and influenced his perspective on life. Now, question number 19. What diagnosis did Steve Jobs receive and how did it change his outlook on life? Answer. Steve Jobs was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, which doctors initially thought was incurable. This experience reinforced his belief in following one's heart and intuition and living life fully without being influenced by others' opinions. Question number 20. What advice does Steve Jobs give about work and life? Answer. Steve Jobs advises finding work you love, as it will lead to true satisfaction and great accomplishments. He also emphasizes not wasting time living someone else's life and having the courage to follow your heart and intuitions. Question number 21. What is the importance of intuition according to Steve Jobs? So, according to Steve Jobs, intuition is essential because it already knows what you truly want to become. Trusting your intuition can help you make meaningful choices. Question number 22. What lesson does Steve Jobs' story about death teach us? Answer. Steve Jobs' story about death teaches us to value time, follow our own path, and live authentically without being influenced by others' opinions. So that's all for today. If you find this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. Thank you so much.